Hello, my name is Ben, and I'm normally the host of Comic Book Breakdown, an audio-only podcast that drops every Thursday, available wherever you stream your audio. That said, this video is clearly not that. This is whatever this is. For now, this is going to be a weekly show where I discussed WandaVision, the Disney Plus show. I hadn't planned on doing something like this, but the closer that we got to the release date for the show, the more excited I got for it. It has been over a year since we got new MCU content, and I didn't realize how badly I was jonesing for some new stuff. So I've slapped together this idea, and I've invited my friend Efrain along for the ride, and we're going to be talking about the show, discussing our new theories, discussing any rumors that we hear, and just trying to break it down and have a good time as well as we can. We haven't quite worked out a set schedule yet, as our jobs are really making us work to do this, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope to have a good time, and I hope you folks have a good time too. We are vaguely planning on a weekly schedule. I'm not sure on a release date, as I have to learn how to do all of this stuff. But we're going to have a good time with it. We hope you have a good time with it. We've been enjoying the show so far. We hope you are as well. And I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for watching.
Just for shits and giggles, I just want to reiterate, if this does work, my current theory going into this is I think Wanda has either been placed into or been tricked into something. I don't know what that something is. I don't know if it's a machine or an alternate reality, or if it's a spell, or if she's being brainwashed. I think this thing is generating the reality that she's in, and I think that the moments when Wanda has directly, things have gotten freaky and she's directly said something, in episode 1, this would be when she tells the Vision to save his boss. In episode 2, it's when she rewinds things right at the end, and I would argue, with episode 3, it's when she kicks Geraldine out. These are moments when Wanda's core personality, the part of her that's not being controlled by the machine, comes through. And it's why immediately after those moments we see the whole reality shift and we move to the next decade of television programming. I don't think that Wanda is altering the main reality, because Wanda's powers haven't been shown to do that in the MCU so far. And I don't think that it's magic, because her powers haven't had anything to do with magic at this point in the MCU. I do think they're going to pull the Doctor Strange science is magic explanation at some point. But yeah, I think that's vaguely what's going on. At this point, I kind of suspect that Vision is dead, and I think he's part of the illusion of Westview. But that's kind of where I'm at. My theory for the way this ends is I think everything will get ruined. She'll lose Vision. She'll lose her kids. She'll be snapped back into the POS reality that she existed in to begin with, and she's going to go crazy.
There could be a possibility that if and when that happens, she could possibly break reality, which kind of leads into, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man 3, maybe.
Agreed.
There is a little particular scene in episode 3 when they're talking about the babies, and Vision basically tells Wanda, I don't things seem a little weird. Just something doesn't seem right. Something is going on. And then he looks, there's a glimpse, or while he's saying that, something more could be wrong. He looks right at the camera and then looks back. Yeah, you didn't notice that, did you?
No.
Yeah. He's like, I think, and then it's basically me. He's like, I think something's going on. He does exactly like that. And then the instance he does that, it rewinds. The scene goes back to where he first started standing up.
It didn't it?
And then, I
completely forgot
See,
about that.
people, maybe, I don't know if people didn't catch that or what, but the scene starts over in a snap. And basically, the scene continues where now he praises the babies that are coming.
It's that rewind, but like a cleaner edit almost.
Yes, it's a cleaner edit.
So
exactly. It's almost like every time someone feels like they're not in their right mind, that something's going on, something happens, and it's like you said, it's almost like, in a way, Wanda, whether she knows she's doing it or not, she corrects the things that are imbued in this world.
I think it's interesting that it's only the things that would shatter the reality to her, I feel like. Because she's had other characters do weird stuff to her.
Yeah.
I specifically think of the scene with Dottie in the second episode when, like, the radio starts to freak out. Like, she doesn't correct anything there.
Yeah.
And even afterwards, like, she doesn't fix it or redo the scene. It's just weird, and she kind of goes about her business after that. But she doesn't edit it to be quote-unquote normal, where these other things were direct interactions with her. That these things kept her from being, like, kept the illusion from breaking, so to speak. Every time someone's been like, man, stuff's weird, it's just smile and keep on trucking, everything will be fine.
It's also possible that, I know in episode 2 that when they're doing the magic show, you know, Vision is known as Illusion and she's known as Glamour. I know that those were old school Marvel characters in a way, but at the same time, maybe it's possible that they're kind of telling you what's going on. Maybe it's an illusion and they're being glamored.
That is the kind of, like, subtle on-point storytelling that I do think not Disney, but Marvel Studios has been doing. Disney's been letting Marvel do it.
Yes.
No, I think that's actually a really good point. This is all an illusion. Oh, how cool!
And they're being.
They tell us in the second episode, this is all a lie. Don't even worry about it, guys. This is part of the show. Literally and figuratively.
It could be.
That would be super cool.
Because I noticed, this is what I get by watching the episode multiple times. You get kind of different things. So, you know, the part when, you know, Geraldine, after Wanda says, you know, I had a brother, twin brother. His name was Pietro. And then she realizes, like, she's looking at Wanda weird. It's almost like her mind is starting to, like,
she was starting to break through.
Yeah, reconfigure, like, and then that's when she was like, he was killed by Ultron, wasn't he? And then that's what Wanda's like, what did you say? It's almost like Wanda remembered she had a brother, but she didn't remember that he was killed by Ultron until Geraldine said something, because she remembered that when Wanda reminded her. And so, I'm sorry, just really quick. So when Wanda starts questioning her, like, where did you come from? Who are you? Geraldine started to say under her breath, I don't remember. Yeah. So it's possible that, like, somehow when she went in there, like, their minds, in a way, get warped to that certain reality or illusion to fit the reality. Yeah. But in the back of their heads, they know that they don't belong there.
Sure.
You know?
I could believe that. I was going to say, it really surprised me how much I had completely forgotten that Pietro was a character at all.
Yeah.
When she had brought up, you had a brother, and Wanda was like, I'm a twin. I was like, oh my God, she is a twin.
There was something I read online that said that was the first time they ever mentioned Pietro since Age of Ultron.
I think so.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't believe it, because I thought to myself, I'm like, oh my God, they never mentioned him again until that episode.
And it's really weird to me as someone who's read, like, the comics so much, because, like, so much of Pietro's character is about defending Wanda or helping Wanda or saving Wanda. And honestly, most of Wanda's narrative really doesn't have much to do with Pietro. Like, once she joins the Avengers, because he kind of part-times it most of the time. He's definitely been more involved with, like, X-Men stuff than she has. But yeah, it just kind of, like, freaked me out a little bit. I was like, oh wait, that's supposed to be your twin brother. Oh, why didn't, if this is your dream reality, where is he at? Like, why didn't he get brought back?
I don't know. That's a good question too.
You want to be on camera?
I think it also has to do with, you know, Vision might be dead, but, you know, his husk, his body was still around.
Sure.
You know, there's a possibility that somehow Wanda used his body for something.
Well, I'm kind of wondering if whatever she's been put inside is connected to the shell of whatever was left with Vision.
Because structurally, he's still around.
Yeah. Because I had that thought after Infinity War, when Thanos pulled the stone out, and then Vision's costume went, like, grayed out. I thought they were alluding to the fact that Vision's original costume was just all white. He was meant to be a Ultron's vision of the future. And so he had no color, and I was like, oh, well, they'll bring him back. He'll just be like emotionless and cold, and like he'll be
and then
more of a machine.
He won't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, him and Wanda ever having a relationship.
And I wonder if maybe in an attempt to connect with what was left of Vision, because Shuri straight up said, we can disconnect him from the Mind Stone, we just have to do it manually.
Yeah.
Maybe Wanda tried to go into what was left of Vision's mind, or like maybe he was plugged into a computer program and then she tried to connect with him, and it's created this like artificial reality kind of thing.
It's some sort of, because at the end it looked like Geraldine was spit out of some sort of energy field.
Yeah. I was reminded of like the energy field in The Arrival. Not The Arrival, what's the other one? Oh, with Natalie Portman goes into the weird. And I feel bad because I really liked the movie.
I really liked it too.
With the screaming bear.
It's one word.
Yeah. But anyways.
Dang it.
It reminded me of that, the shimmer kind of effect. I thought that was really cool. But then.
Yeah, that was cool.
The other thing of it too is like, one, we're seeing Wanda observed through electronic cameras. Like, they're seeing the show. They established that at the end of episode 1. And then in episode 2, when we've got the radio contact, we're being told people are trying to talk to Wanda. So they're getting radio signals in and TV signals out of whatever this thing is.
Yeah.
And unless we're pitching that the Marvel Universe now has, like, you know, devices to monitor.
Somehow they can look
whatever,
in there,
yes.
in a way. Yeah.
Somehow they can look in and send messages in. They know Wanda's involved. She was specifically named. Wanda,
Yes.
Are you okay? Who's doing this to you? Which would imply that she's a victim, which isn't necessarily true.
Unless that's how they feel. Like, somehow she's being manipulated.
Totally possible.
Yeah. It's possible that the people in there could be, you know, because Agnes, when he's talking to Herb, I believe his name is, you know, he's trying to explain something like that. Ruben, maybe. I think. I don't know where I got Herb. But, because he said, you know, because we are aware, and then she's like,
well, and like,
knock it off.
And when he was sawing the concrete divider,
yeah,
like there's we're covering up a conspiracy theory weird, and then there's we're just weird.
Yeah.
And that was a moment of like, I don't like this to me can't be somebody who's been added to the program, because this is an inhuman action.
Yeah.
Human beings don't cut into a concrete wall with a hedge trimmer and just be like,
hey neighbor.
How's it going, pal?
Yeah.
We don't unless the program overrides your main personality, which would potentially be true, because we saw Geraldine get kicked out.
Yeah.
We've both read the speculation as to who that character actually is, so we know it's not a woman named Geraldine who just happened to be there.
Yes.
Which to me is like the cool thing with seeing Sword's involvement, because that's episode 1. We get the helicopter, which I'm like, immediately, that's a drone. Episode 2, we get the beehive guy, and I'm like, this is a person in a contained environment.
The helicopter was episode 2 as well.
Was it episode 2?
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. That's how fast my brain's moving. So they send in a drone. Drone gets nothing, or fails, or whatever. They send in someone in a self-contained environmental suit, which Wanda's reality or the programming translate as the beekeeper suit. And then she rewinds it, kicks that guy back out. But then Geraldine is in there because she doesn't look different. She doesn't look like she's apart from anything else until Wanda notices the sword necklace. And then she kicks her the fuck out.
Geraldine, and what's interesting is I read something that we don't see Geraldine until after Wanda finds the red helicopter. Mm-hmm. And even when they first introduced Geraldine, she's also like, and, you know, people could coincide with, like, they're at the meeting, you know, and stuff, and she's like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. No, I feel like she's herself is like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Like, she just somehow appeared there, and it's almost like her mind was manipulated when she first got there. You know, it doesn't mean that they erased any memories. It just means that somebody must have overtaken her mind somehow. To
me, it's almost more like having a new coat of paint is slapped on these people's realities. Like, they're still who they are, but there's this extra black and white coating of sitcom that is blocking everything else out.
Yeah, because when
Where that's coming from, we don't know. But that's the interesting part.
Because when she introduces herself, she's even like, I'm Geraldine. You know, like it's like she doesn't even realize what her name is. It's almost like somebody saying, your name is Geraldine.
Well, and that to me was like the thing. I couldn't tell if she was making a name up or if she was being prompted with a name. Because there's a part of me that was like, you know, if S.W.O.R.D. is anything like S.H.I.E.L.D. at all, and she's like a Black Widow kind of agent, like, she's got to be able to roll a name off the top of her head. And when she can't remember her real name, she just improvises. Geraldine? I don't know. But it could be the programming, too. Again, it could be the program being like, your name's Geraldine, don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
I did read something that was interesting, that, like, when Wanda finds the helicopter, it's possible that, like, the helicopter might have been shrunken down by Pym particles. And that's possibly how someone could have maybe gotten in there. Because it's interesting, because she hears something outside, and then all of a sudden she looks at the bush.
Sure.
And then she finds the helicopter. And the helicopter has the S.W.O.R.D. logo on there.
Absolutely.
So why would there be a toy helicopter with the soldier logo unless it was an actual sized helicopter that they shrunk down?
And that's rather than my idea of like it's a drone like rebuilt to fit this reality. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's I had mentioned to you last time that in the comics, S.W.O.R.D. stands for Sentient Worlds Observation. I don't remember what the other stand for. And if you play with the idea of what a sentient world is, like in the comics, it's just meant to be like thinking aliens that live outside of Earth. But I've the more I've watched this, the more I've been wondering: could they mean alternate realities or pocket dimensions? Like, was S.W.O.R.D. in the MCU? Maybe S.W.O.R.D. is monitoring things like the microverse, the quantum realm. I'm sorry, microverse is technically not owned by Marvel anymore. Or are they, looking at alternate realities, which we know are going to be a thing moving forward with the MCU? And is that what we're looking at with Wanda? Are we looking at a hole in reality?
She discovered it?
I really
somehow?
like the idea of the helicopter got shrank down and flown in, and it delivered somebody. The only trick then is, who did it deliver?
Yeah. Was it Geraldine? Was it someone else?
Yeah. Could it have been the dude in the bee suit?
It's to me, it's also possible that the guy in the bee suit, the helicopter, somehow these agents are trying to find ways inside
1,000%
that dimension or reality, and every time something like that comes up, Wanda, she knows she can do something about it, but it's interesting because
she closes the door.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she closes the door, whether or not she knows. In a way, she knows she is, but at the same time,
I think she knows that she's defending herself.
Yeah,
and she's defending what she thinks is hers, which is her house, her family, her children. I don't think she understands the broader implications. I think, like the rest of these people, there's a coat of black and white paint that's been plastered over Wanda's mind, and she doesn't understand what's going on. I personally, again, you and I have had these conversations before. I've always been wrong when it comes to Marvel. I'm probably wrong now.
it's just fun to talk about.
Yeah, but it's just super fun and to me, really interesting to talk about. I really particularly liked that the Vision wanted to name the one kid Billy after William Shakespeare, which I just thought was really cute, given that Paul Bettany played Chaucer.
Oh yeah,
in A Knight's Tale.
That's right.
And I was just
cool.
Oh, that's so cool, and it still perfectly fits Vision's character as well, in terms of being a fan of well written things, very human emotions, that kind of stuff. I think that's perfect. I just thought that's the second, and he was like Billy. I was like, oh, they're really doing this. And then Wanda was like, no,
it's Tommy.
And I was like, oh, they're really doing this. Oh, hell yeah.
And it's interesting. It's when she was, she had Tommy, because Vision named him Tommy. And all of a sudden...
And I like that Tommy's the one with super Speed, so he got there first.
That is pretty funny. But But when she starts yelling and Vision is like, what? You know, and then Vision's like, it's another baby. And then as soon as he says that, she's like, Billy!
Yeah.
She names him right away.
Yeah.
You know, so it's almost like she and herself, like, knew she was going to have twins, even though she didn't technically.
I mean, she was told she was going to have twins.
No, she had no idea.
Didn't she?
No. That's why they were surprised when another baby was coming. That's why that was the discussion of naming the baby either Billy or Tommy. They didn't realize it was twins. I'm so
used to the idea that she just has twins
that
I just filled that in. Like, I was already waiting for twins, regardless of what the story told me. That's totally possible.
That's the thing. We possibly knew she was going to have twins.
I could have totally misread that.
Yeah, they had no idea. But yet, as soon as Vision announced there's a second baby coming, she automatically knew she was going to name him Billy.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
I mean, they had the two names prepared. Billy and Tommy. What are you going to do?
I know. I understand.
They're both former Power Rangers.
Just yeah, I know. I did think about that too. Yeah. But I don't know. I know they already had that name. But yeah, it's almost like in her, she kind of knew she was going to have twins in a way.
Maybe.
You know? Yeah.
That's
what I'm wondering. Exactly how much control does she have over this certain dimension of reality where they're at? You know, and is there a certain devil in the details?
Well, that's,
you know,
I may have missed it, but I don't believe I heard a devil mention in episode 3.
No, it was like 2. I think it was 1 or 2.
It was there was one in episode 1, and there was once in episode 2, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't know if there was 1 in 3.
I was specifically waiting for it because again, the MCU has so far explained magic as being science just beyond your understanding. Mm-hmm. And Mephisto is a very specific. He's magic. Everything he does. To be fair, technically, he rules another dimension in that he rules like hell or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
In the mythology. So it's totally possible that you just hand wave that and say, well, he's the ruler of an alternate dimension that really looks like hell, and he's torturing Wanda. But again, I'm not sold on that. Mephisto classically doesn't have much to do with Wanda. I don't believe he was involved with the original storyline with the twins at all. Mm-hmm. If anything, Marvel would be playing with like Chthon, who was their Cthulhu like dark elder god type of character. Because I think, if I remember correctly in the comics, Billy and Tommy were originally like magical construct created by Chthon, which you could go that route. But I think they're more interesting when they're just creations of Wanda. Like, she made these things happen because she wanted them to happen because she's powerful enough to do that. I like that much better than, like, they're illusions from the devil! Whoa! Like, I don't know. Like, the MCU, to me, doesn't support that as it is. Like, the comic books get away with it because, like, Satan shows up in the Ghost Rider comics all the time. Like,
yeah.
Like, Johnny Blaze and Satan literally shook hands. Like, I get it. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel right, which, again, they'll probably prove me wrong. He'll show up in a nice-looking suit, and he'll be like, hey, I'm Satan. How's it going? One half James Woods, one half...
Peter Fonda?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
One of the things that interested me with this that I picked up on, but I didn't process that it was a thing, was the intro for this episode. Vision is cooking hamburgers at, like, super speed. And at first I was just like, well, okay, he's got vision powers, that's fine. And then in the episode, he's running at super speed.
Yeah.
And that is not a power that the Vision has. He can fly, and he can go intangible. And if he had picked the Doctor up and flown him back home, that's fine. But Vision doesn't start running until the episode where they mention that Wanda has a brother who ran at super speeds. And I don't think this is a weird, like, Pietro is the Vision is Pietro type of thing. But it was weird to me that Vision suddenly got a super speed addition to his power set when that has never been something that Vision can do. Unless he's, like, overclocking.
Yeah. He's just flown and everything, but, like, he's never had super speed.
I had kind of dismissed it because I was like, he's trying to keep a low profile, but, like, I still don't... They played it off with, like, the ridiculousness of sitcoms, with him just being like, we should get here in a hurry. But, like, no, if I got picked up by my neighbor and ran across town in, like, 5 minutes, I would definitely be like, there's something wrong here. Like, and to be fair, the neighbor did say something along the lines of like, yeah, leaving Westview.
Yeah, where else can we go? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And almost every time somebody mentioned that, Vision always has this weird look on his face.
Yeah. Like, that's, to me, it's a sign that Wanda is invested in this reality. She wants this.
Yeah.
Vision I feel bad because it's just, I don't know, I feel like I'm stereotyping a computer man. But as a computer man, he's much more logical. And he is seeing that the pieces here aren't fitting together the way they're supposed to. You don't give birth to twins in an afternoon. Like,
he is not a computer man. He is a carbon-based life form, much like yourself.
Yes, exactly. And so she has to keep like rewriting his programming, so to speak. No, this is the reality you're looking for. Don't worry about it. We're safe and we're happy and we have kids. Ain't this great?
Yeah, that's true. Because in episode 1, when she says to him, this is our home now, he again gets this confused look on his face. You know? Like he's dead, but at the same time, in this type of dimensional reality, he's alive. He also feels like, what the hell's going on? Like,
well, that's even if he is the same as he was before he died. The last he knew, he wasn't here.
Yeah.
And this wasn't their living situation. Like, the last time we saw them as a couple, they were on the run in Europe. Like, and even then, they had been told to stay separated by the Cap and the Secret Avengers, so to speak. So again, even if you just pick up where Vision left off before he died, they aren't together. They aren't a couple. They didn't have rings. Like, and that's, I think that was one of the things the first episode did really good by establishing them being like...
They were in love, though.
Yeah. They're like, what's our anniversary? When did we get married? Why don't we have rings?
Yeah.
Like, all of these things that are part and parcel of being in a relationship, neither one of them had an answer for. Even Wanda. And Wanda didn't even supply rings until Vision suggested that she did.
Vision suggested it, yeah.
So again, that to me is why I don't think Wanda's in charge of things. I think she can temporarily take control of things because her powers involve like mind manipulation. But I think whatever this is of the Vision, this copy or ghost in the program or whatever,
ghost in the machine,
the ghost in the shell. Wanda's gonna wake up and Vision's gonna be inside her body, and I mean that mentally.
I mean, she can still. I mean, when when they were setting up the baby's room, and she set up the the carousel of the butterflies, in a way, and she's like, I just, so butterflies in my stomach, or something like that, and all of a sudden, like, she makes the butterflies become real. She's like, oh, did I do that? Oh, I didn't mean that to happen. She bent reality.
Yeah.
So just those subtle hints, those little subtle hints to tell you that, like, she can bend reality even though she doesn't mean to.
And she can bend reality in this space.
Yes.
We've never seen Wanda do these kinds of things outside of WandaVision. Which again, to me, is why we're altering reality, but we're altering like a pocket of reality, a hidden reality. I don't think we're affecting the real world with this, quote unquote, real world. What else happened in this one? Geraldine, creepy neighbors. Oh, that was one of the things that I couldn't remember if it was a thing, because I've seen a lot of theories online that maybe they're inside of the framework, which was an idea from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, where like Hydra had created...
Oh yeah, I saw those episodes, yes.
Yeah, and this was way after I had stopped watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I saw those episodes, yes.
But I've seen some people suggest maybe she's in the framework, and initially I would scoff and laugh at you pretending Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. still matters, but they keep doing those commercials. And those commercials, some of them, the Hydra soak specifically, was a reference from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So there's a part of me, and then when the doctor was like, I'm going on my vacation, I think he said to Hawaii? Or did he say Fiji?
Fiji.
Because didn't Coulson
Yes, he did go to Fiji.
To get brainwashed?
Whoa.
Yeah. To get programmed?
Yeah.
So there's a part where I was like, is this dude going in for like reprogramming and he doesn't even know it? But then when he's like, I guess I'm not. Everything's fine, but we can't leave. And I was like, wait a minute. So I don't know if Marvel is officially canonizing the story elements of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or not. Or if they're going to pull the, like, well, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is, most of it's canon, but it's an alternate reality type of thing.
No, Agents of
Hello,
S.H.I.E.L.D.
girl.
to them is canon.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, hell, Lady Sif was in there.
Look,
Nick Fury was in there.
I'm not saying the MCU didn't affect Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. barely affected the MCU.
No, I agree.
And that's I'm at the point where, like, I just dismiss it as a part of continuity. I'm like, it's
I
fine.
understand, but
until Phil Coulson or Mai show up, I don't care about any of you.
I understand, but in the show itself, they still wanted to let you know that it does take place in the world of the MCU.
Sure. Because the only other trick with me with that is S.H.I.E.L.D's no more. Mm-hmm. And it's possible that S.W.O.R.D. just picked up the apparatus that S.H.I.E.L.D. left behind, or the technologies, and it was just like, ours now. Thanks, guys. And just keeps doing the same thing.
But then if there are agents out there that are trying to sneak in a way, because, those, it's been a while since I've seen those episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I don't know if it's different now, but I haven't technically seen,
Hello.
I mean, I haven't technically seen, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, like, try to infiltrate, certain things, like, in the mind. But then again, like, at the end of episode 3, it doesn't seem like it takes place in the mind. It seems like it's an actual visual
thing.
Yeah. Thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
It has some sort of force projection.
It appeared to be a place called Westview.
Yeah.
I was trying to read, like, the little bits and pieces that were underneath the sign.
Yeah.
But I didn't remember it saying anything that I was like,
oh my god, that's a thing.
I was just like, oh, it is a place called Westview. Okay, cool.
I mean, it was when, Wanda was questioning Geraldine. Who are you? Where'd you come from? What the hell is that? The sword necklace.
Yeah.
Then she kicked her out. She kicked her out, which means Wanda does have certain powers as to who can stay and who could leave this certain place. She kicked out Geraldine. When she did, like, Wanda's red, kind of chi powers, I guess, were surrounded Geraldine when she kicked her out. And she was very disoriented,
I'm wondering if episode 4 is going to be... I'm wondering if now we're going to see what things look like on the outside. If it's going to be like
it's possible.
Geraldine episode, and it's going to be like, this is the situation, weird shit's going down, we've been invested... Like, if this is going to be our, like, kind of... I don't want to call it a recap episode, but, like, recap from the other side.
Yeah.
And then it'll either end with maybe Geraldine going back in, or they send somebody in, or something. Like, I'm wondering how much of this is going to just stick with Wanda and Vision, and how much of it's going to flip
or the episode end when she first goes in. That's when the episode possibly ends.
I don't think it'll be a flashback. I think this will be like a debrief.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did you see on the inside? What happened? What did it look like? We know from casting that certain characters are going to be showing up, which I'm not going to bring up just in case people don't know.
Yeah.
But those characters would indicate that there's some kind of power structure investigating this, which we assume to be S.W.O.R.D. And yeah, if you send in Geraldine to scope out the situation, now you need a mission report. What happened? What did you see? Were you able to do anything about it? And it's going to be weird shit was happening.
It's like I was in a freaking 60s, 50s, 60s television show. 60s, 70s television show.
I love you, Cat. Don't raptor tail me.
And plus, at the end of episode 1, it showed you that they were monitoring it. They were watching it. They were taking notes.
They went from monitoring to trying to interfere to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
So now it's like, to me, this would be a perfect story beat to regroup, reassess.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to go back in? Will it work? If Geraldine walks back in, is she going to get sitcom painted on her brain again? Will Wanda remember her? Like, we haven't really seen an indication that Wanda remembers the thing she's erased yet, because she didn't erase the helicopter. She just, like, dropped it. I think like she didn't have it in her hand in the next scene.
Yeah.
But nobody was like, man, you remember we saw that beekeeper come out of the sewers? That was weird, right?
Yeah,
Like, that's never been referenced. So
yeah, that was crazy.
I'm like, I love the fan theories that it was Swarm, the Nazi bee
Oh
scientist.
yeah, I saw that.
I love it because Swarm is such a stupid comic book character that I love him. Like, you can't do that kind of thing outside of comic books. And they're trying, if that's what it is. I don't think that's what it is. I think I think this is like somebody came in some kind of like self-contained atmospheric suit, like a space suit, and her reality rewrote it as a beekeeper suit, is my personal guess. The flip side of that is, I believe twice...
He still had the sword logo on there.
He still had the sword logo. And I mean, to be fair, we've seen S.H.I.E.L.D. work with Nazi scientists before.
Yes.
They had Arnim Zorla. So I don't
He
know,
is fifth.
So I don't know if they would pull in a Nazi beekeeper, or if they would just ignore that and be like, he's a crazy beekeeper, man. He's got psychic bees. Like, I don't know. MCU likes to play fast and loose with its character adaptations.
It's
sometimes. True. So, who knows? But
yeah, I mean, it's obvious somebody was trying to infiltrate. That's why she was like, no,
yeah,
and she rewound it.
And they were the only people who, supposedly, anyways, they were the only people who heard it. They were the only ones who investigated. And more of the thing that got me was when Wanda and Vision were kind of drawn outdoors. None of the sounds seemed to match up the things that drew them outdoors.
Yeah.
Like, the impact that drew Wanda out to the helicopter was not a toy helicopter hitting a bush. It was a solid, like, thud. You hit something solid. Something happened.
Yeah.
Like, it felt more like someone punched the door and ran away than, like, a helicopter lands in a bush. A toy helicopter. So that's, again, I think there's something going on there that doesn't quite match up.
And she didn't just open the door first. She looked out the window, saw it, and then opened the door.
Yeah. You can't tell me that thing like bounced off the house and was then like and then landed in the bush for her to be like, oh, that's fucking weird.
It's possible maybe that was there a similar sound right before they showed the beekeeper? Or
I believe there was, because something drew them. I didn't watch it twice, so I may be misremembering. But I think it was like basically the same sound. And then they went outside. There wasn't anything in the yard. They went to the street. There wasn't anything in the street. And then they saw the manhole cover moving. And then they looked towards that.
Maybe that's the sound when someone tries to get in, possibly. Yeah,
it's possible.
Where they're at, maybe. Tries to interject like inside that energy projection.
Sure. And
that's the sound it makes when they go in and try and infiltrate.
When they go inside the shimmer.
Yeah, the shimmer. Yeah, the shimmer.
Well, that's what they called it in the one movie. So that's what I'm going to call it until I have something better.
I don't know why I keep saying
the chaos field.
I keep saying affliction or abomination or like it's something like
abomination sounds close.
It's not abomination.
It's not abomination.
It's not.
It sounds like a long A word like that.
It's something like that.
I'm gonna have to look it up
when
we're done here. Something you were saying triggered something else in my mind. Oh, I don't know what it was. So we've seen in theory a toy helicopter. We've had the townspeople chant for the children.
For the children.
Several times. I don't think I've seen a single kid in this show.
No, until the twins.
The twins.
Yeah.
And it is as if a whole town chanting for the children wasn't weird enough.
Yeah. Numerous times.
That to me, like, it's either meant to be a sign or it's a red herring. Because it almost feels like the point of whatever this is to create these kids. But what does that mean? Like, who wants these kids created? For what purpose? Like, if this is a magical construct, are you creating magical twins that you'll then make real? If this is a virtual reality, then it doesn't matter because they're fake. Like, it's that idea of like, I'm so lost as to what that could possibly mean. Like, I have no idea what we're doing for the children. And there's not even children running around. Like, it'd be one thing if there were, like, well-organized children playing in the streets, and I'd be like, oh, there's the kids. Ha,
That's true. None of these couples have children.
Yeah.
None of the neighbors have children.
None of the neighbors seem very happy with each other either.
Yeah, they don't. You know, and then the thing...
love the thing with, just real quick with Dottie when she's like, "Do these pearls make me look fat?" And then the lights go out. He's like, "Oh,
thank God." He looks at the camera and goes, "Oh, thank God."
Such a sitcom. Like,
it is.
I don't know how many times I've watched an old sitcom and been like, "Man, these husbands are terrible people."
Yeah.
Like, jeez.
Yeah, I thought that was funny as well.
That was perfect.
Yeah, it was. But it's true, though. Them saying for the children. There's no children around. And also, it wasn't until because Geraldine first appeared in episode 2, but it wasn't until episode 3 that they started discussing who she was, you know, because she came in.
Move your camera a little bit.
Okay. And even the neighbors didn't. They had no idea who she was.
Well,
but yeah, it seems like they kind of know who each other are.
Well, it seemed interesting to me that the thing that weirded him out was that she doesn't have like a home.
Yeah.
And Vision and Wanda just moved into town, in theory, at the beginning of the first episode. They're new in town, but they've got jobs that they seem to are like Vision had a job that he seemed to have been at for some time, and they accepted that just fine.
Yeah.
So
he's due for a promotion.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Yeah. Despite the fact that they just met their new neighbor, had no idea who she was, and they were still worried about like the neighbors, what the neighbors think of them. So it very much felt like they were new to town and weren't quite sure what was going on, but the neighbors accepted them right up. This was like the most helpful thing in the world. And clearly, I would think issue 3, episode 3 indicates that like something's up with Agnes. What it is, I still don't have a solid theory. Like, is she a core piece of the programming? Is she like a ranking SHIELD agent or like AIM agent if the beekeeper dude is meant to be a nod to AIM agents? If I remember correctly, episode 3 ended with the like honeycomb hive kind of shape closing in on them before it like stopped. That was one? Okay. But again...
Because that was when they both looked at the camera, smiled, and then Vision had the remote control and clicked it. Okay. And that's when it closed. No, remember, because episode 3 ended with Geraldine getting kicked out of the energy projection.
Right. Did I say episode 3? I meant episode 2.
Episode 2 ended when it went into color. And
that's right.
It went into color, and then at the end, that's when you heard Wanda, "Who's doing this to you, Wanda?" Yeah. You know, again.
I'm going to have to rewatch it, definitely. Jesus.
Yeah, see? God. It helps.
But
you have to remember it's an MCU vehicle, so there's multiple watchings that need to happen.
One of the other things I really liked about episode 3 was when it was ending, and it went from, like, the TV boxing.
That was great.
But then the movie box
came in, yeah. That was spectacular.
And it was a really subtle way of being like, we're leaving this reality. We're coming back to normal reality. That was a really clever way of showing that. And then adding in the color, like, as that was happening. Like, that was the thing that got me, was like, you know, you're oohing and awing at the colors coming in. And then the screen's getting a little wider. And you don't even kind of notice it at first.
And then, you don't. It
wasn't until the letterboxing closed from above that I was like,
it becomes wider, and then all of a sudden, the black bars on the side disappear. Then it hits the very next scene in reality. Then the black bars come down. The funny thing is, I didn't see that when I first saw it because I watched it on my phone. Okay. I had my iPad speaker, and I was just chilling in my bed. Sure. So I felt like watching it on my phone because I knew there wasn't anything visual that I needed to see on my big TV. But then it was either later on that evening or the next day, I watched it again on my big TV, and that's when I noticed the black sidebars disappearing and then those coming down. I was like, hell yeah. And for some reason, I rewound that part like 3 times because I thought it was really cool to see if I could catch anything, you know. But I'm like, oh, so it's exactly what you said. They're taking you away from this world. It's like, and you know, now back to our actual reality. Yeah. And I thought that was a really nice touch.
That to me is like some solid comic book style visual storytelling. Yeah. Like, you don't get that kind of transition typically in TV shows. Like, my brain immediately leaps to like the George Lucas like screen wipes that you would get in like Star Wars.
Yes.
This feels like that, but like a little bit more elegant, like just a little, again, because there's the subtlety behind it of we're not just changing scenes, we are leaving this place, wherever it is, and we're going back to reality, which typically looks like this if you're watching the MCU. I just thought that was so smart and so clever. And like to me, it's a real highlight of how much attention to detail and storytelling that the developers of this show in particular were like, we could just do a show and just crap something out and it'll be fine. But like, no, not only are we doing good sitcom based episodes, but then we're playing with the tropes and we're playing with what it looks like and feels like. And what does that look like as you travel through time? And now as you travel through reality, that's such a clever thing to do. It's just so nice.
It is. It's really nice.
It's weird to me that like that's the thing that gets me like Jones.
Something like that.
Good storytelling is what gets me Jones.
Yes.
The acting, the acting was great. Like that's the only thing I always feel bad about is like it's hard for me to be like, oh man, and then Paul Bettany did this or Elizabeth Olsen did this. Like they do such a good job with their characters. They both feel right.
Yes.
Look creepy.
Especially. Great. There was I saw a meme. I don't know if you saw this meme, but I saw a meme about Wanda, the most terrifying thing in the MCU is an angry Wanda.
Yeah,
and it showed like her in Age of Ultron, her in Civil War, her in Endgame, and then her in WandaVision.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm like, oh, they're right. Because each time that happened, she ripped out Ultron's heart. She was about to kill Thanos, and she booted out Geraldine.
Yeah.
So.
And it particularly was interesting to me that she booted out Geraldine, but she didn't rewind things.
Yes.
Because even when Vision came in, like the camera during that shot with Vision made sure to stay on
her.
Well, with him outside, it made sure to stay on him.
Yeah.
So if someone came out behind him, you would have noticed it. And no one goes out the front door and passes behind him. He's slightly off center, if I remember correctly, which I thought was weird because it leaves this huge empty space next to him. And I was like, why would we be looking there? And then when we go inside and Geraldine's left, well, she's not going to leave out the back.
Exactly.
In theory, I guess.
And that's why he asked
and that's
in a very...
Where'd she go?
Yeah.
She had to leave.
He just gathered all that information about Geraldine. And then when he went back inside... Where's Geraldine? Oh, she had to rush home.
But she didn't rewind that moment.
No,
she
didn't.
I'm wondering if Vision's kind of going to have his own suspicions at this point and just stop bringing them up to Wanda. Because better to gather all the information and be like, Wanda, something's wrong. Here's my proof. Than continually just go, I think something's up. And then rewind. No, everything's fine. Never mind.
And I just thought about this. Vision was literally just told she has no home.
Yeah.
So then when he asked, where's Geraldine? Wanda says, oh, she had to rush home.
Sure.
Vision was just told she has no home. So rushing home, Wanda knows that she had to go back home, which means she had to be sent back to the actual reality.
Well, and to be fair, from Vision's perspective, that just means he has to choose who he's going to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe your weirdo neighbor who was just cutting your brick divider that this character doesn't have a home when you've never verified this yourself? Like, I don't know where Agnes lives. We've never been to her place.
Right.
Like, I wonder if a character like looked at Vision and was like, can you go visit Wanda, if he could pick out where she lived at this point. Or does he disbelieve Wanda, who he loves and he trusts and he just had 2 kids with? I would just be like, the neighbors are weird. Like, I would immediately be like, my wife's right. She probably just left. She left out the back. I'm not worried about it. I got twins to worry about. Like, neighbors are just weird. Like, he doesn't really have a reason to trust them.
Yeah.
He trusts Wanda.
Suspicions do arise when their whole subject matter was talking about how Geraldine doesn't particularly belong, and all of a sudden Vision goes in the house and she's gone.
Sure.
So I'm sure, Vision's mind will clear up per usual as, rewind, I guess you can say, per Wanda. But, eventually I think all the suspicions, they're going to build up.
Yeah. That's my first immediate thought is, oh, this is going to become Vision figures out what's going on. He's able to communicate with Geraldine at some point. Like, either she goes back in or he reaches out and gets, like, this is what's actually happening. And then he confronts Wanda about it. This is an illusion or a lie or whatever it is. And the confrontation will be, isn't this lie so much better than reality? And Vision going, no, you can't let yourself do this. I wouldn't want you to live like this. Even if I'm dead, just let me go. Like, mourn me, but don't stay here with me. You can't live a lie, Wanda. And that's when that's when, if I was writing this comic book, she would lose her shit, break reality in some way, and then spin off into Doctor Strange 2. But again, I'm probably 1,000% wrong.
You never know.
You never know.
You never
Wrong
know.
so far.
I mean, it's a blast. Here's a little tidbit that I read, which I thought was interesting. Okay, so the beginning of episode 2, the introduction, the song WandaVision, Wanda. So the whole animated thing. So I don't know if you read about this, but like the scene where Vision, he's in the attic, and he basically like disappears into the floorboard.
Like, right?
He fades down. So while he's fading down, I read articles this while he's fading down. So the space in between the two floorboards, there's actually an object in between them that is the exact same design as Grim Reaper's helmet. And a lot of people pointed that out.
Okay.
It was quick,
okay.
So you don't see it. But then when I saw and people pointed that out, I'm like, holy shit, that is Grim Reaper's helmet.
Really? Grim Reaper's a weird. Again, it's.
I mean, so Grim Reaper,
just a weird character.
Grim Reaper is also Wonder Man's brother, right?
Sure.
And Wonder Man had something to do with Scarlet Witch in the comics. Sort of.
Classically, there's tricks to it. So classically in the comic books, the Vision's programming was basically a copy of Simon Williams, aka
Wonder
Man's
Man
brain.
Yeah.
Which eventually they kind of interpret as like you're my brother from another mother kind of thing. The Grim Reaper is Simon's brother, except he kills people. But the only tricks, like. And again, it's the MCU reinterpreting things where Hank Pym didn't create Ultron, where classically in the comics he did. Tony Stark did, technically in the MCU. Wanda and Quicksilver got their powers from the Mind Stone instead of either being mutants or the High Evolutionary. Or from the High
Evolutionary, yeah.
Whatever's in fashion at the time. I would think that it would be weird to see the Grim Reaper show up if we don't have Wonder Man and we don't have Simon Williams. But that's not to say he can't. I mean, he could. It could be. I don't know what it could be. Like, that's just such a left field character thing.
I typed in Grim Reaper's helmet. It said Grim Reaper helmet WandaVision.
This is definitely going to be like the most popular his helmet's ever been. Oh.
Yeah.
That didn't show up at all, but that's okay.
It's all right. I tried.
if I am going to go through and edit all of this, I can find it online and probably edit it in, hopefully.
But yeah, I thought that it's so, because if you look at it, it's so randomly placed.
Yeah.
It really is.
So what could, because I mean, in the comics, Simon Williams runs an electronics company that I believe his brother built. He and his brother built it. Simon embezzled a bunch of money, and he was caught. And he went to Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo was like, yo, have some superpowers, but help me fight super dudes. He was like, I guess I'll do that. And he became a bad guy for a while before finally turning good again and seeking redemption.
That is
you could still do that. Maybe Wanda / the Avengers turn to William Enterprise to try and save the Vision.
Oh.
And I don't know, maybe like Eric has gotten a hold of the programming. I believe his name's Eric Williams, the Grim Reaper. Maybe he's trying to use that to accomplish a goal that I don't know. I mean, I won't say you can't do it. I definitely think it's a weird. Again, it's a weird choice, but it's one of those things where like Wanda and Vision outside of like Ultron don't really have like character specific bad guys. Maybe Dr. Druid, again, maybe Chthon to some degree for Wanda. Typically Wanda's greatest enemy is herself when she goes crazy.
They're definitely emphasizing that.
Yeah, or Magneto, and I don't think we're seeing mutants in this. I don't think we're going to see Magneto.
I don't think we're going to see mutants for another 5, maybe 10 years.
I understand people are excited for new X-Men stuff. I am excited for new X-Men stuff, especially under the MCU's control. It's
just not
way
yet.
Too early for it.
It's way too early.
So the Pietro thing stood out to me. Super Speed stood out to me.
I just real quick, just the end of episode 3 where it pans back, and all the lights are on Monica or Geraldine. So when it pans back, like in the little energy force field, there's like these projecting type of spotlights, like projecting onto the energy field thing. I don't know if they're using those to monitor what's going on inside, thus explaining why they can watch the TV and write notes. I think somehow like they can see in it, and somehow they're trying to communicate with Wanda, which is the reasoning. But it's almost like somehow in a way they can't get in there unless something particularly happens. You have to think, like, if they're able to get in there, couldn't all of them just go in and infiltrate?
Sure.
And
that it could be revealed that's what happened eventually, and that's why the town has a population, but no backstory, no children, no anything else. Like, what a reveal it would be if Dottie was a sword agent. She's just a huge bitch. Like, what are you gonna do? But that's possible. I had interpreted it as just the spotlights are there to highlight the shimmer.
Possibly, that's what I'm thinking.
Should just be like, this is the edge of it, kind of thing. It could be, maybe it's like a containment field type of thing.
Maybe. Could be both.
But I also feel like Sword doesn't really know what they're dealing with, so like the idea that they could contain whatever this is seems a little ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
But I would say it's out of the realm of possibility. Like, if we're talking alternate realities and superpowers, anything could go. Like,
unless Wanda's hooked up to a machine somehow, and that's how they were able to monitor her through the television.
Yeah, especially like, because that's again with the idea of like, Wanda, are you okay? Coming over a radio.
Who's doing this to you, Wanda?
Who's doing this to you, Wanda? It doesn't feel to me like, it's not like she's laying in a hospital bed, hooked up to machines, and somebody is standing next to her asking this question.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like it's being broadcast at her.
Yeah.
And if it's a person who's aware that something weird's going on, it would imply to me that it's outside of Westview.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. Again, so much is still unknown. Yeah. It's all speculation.
That's the thing. In S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where they introduced the Hydrosoak, the Fiji thing, they were strapped into machines.
Sure.
Okay. But that was, MCU time, that could have been ages ago. I don't know if somehow, like...
Yeah, God, because that would have been around, like... That would have been pre-Civil War.
Basically.
And we've seen, at least 5 years pass? And that's just between Infinity War and Endgame?
Yeah.
So, like, 5 plus years.
So it's a possibility that technology...
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, it is. Isn't that weird? Yeah. It's possible that technology could have been upgraded somehow.
That's fair.
I don't know if... because how many times with those commercials have we seen Hydra mentioned?
And not in a menacing way.
Yeah, exactly. And not in a menacing way. Strucker got mentioned.
Yeah, the watch.
Yeah,
that was when it was like Strucker Co. or something like that. I was like,
he'll make time for you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I'm thinking like somehow they took that technology and massively upgraded it somehow.
Sure.
Or Wanda found a way to massively upgrade it with Vision's prowess. Vision systems,
or even connect, like, again, in an attempt to maybe save the Vision's mind, connect him to that technology and it just spiraled out of control to whatever this situation is now.
Yeah.
That's possible.
And I think the question also is why Westview?
Yeah.
You know, there's still so many questions.
And it's part of me says it's Westview because this shit happened when they were living out on the West Coast. Like they were Vision and Wanda moved out to California during the Maxi series in the 80s. Like because I believe Wanda was a part of the West Coast Avengers. I'll fully admit I'm not nearly as good with my Avengers history as my X-Men. But yeah, I was like, oh, this is a nice nod to like Avengers West Coast, isn't it? Without having to put those wahoos together. But yeah, is there going to be more to it? I don't know. I've seen a lot of people do the like WandaVision, Westview, WVs. You turn a W upside down, you get an M. M equals House of M. Galaxy Brain. And again, I don't buy that personally, but it's a cool idea.
You turn a V upside down, it's like a TP.
It's like an
TP. TP.
Vision's Indigenous American now.
Yes, exactly. But people are saying that it's like their own little Pleasantville.
Oh, sure.
In a way.
They're definitely going for those kind of vibes.
Yeah,
especially
definitely.
starting out black and white and then adding in color. Again, where with Pleasantview, color meant like passion and joy and the vivaciousness of life. I think here color represents reality. As we're creeping back to whatever this illusion, whatever this glamour is beginning to fade.
Because what's also interesting is when these sitcoms take place, does that have anything to do with what's going on? You know, the first one is the 50s. The second episode is the 60s. You know, you correct me on that. Sorry, I thought it was...
Okay.
I thought both of them were the 50s. I don't know why.
I've tried not to read too much stuff because I don't want any kind of spoilers.
Yeah.
So that's like I said, I was just like, I thought it was 50, 60, 70, 80s.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. It's 50s and 60s. Episode 3 is the 70s. And then I think the next episode is going to be the 80s. I know because when I watched the trailer, it was Halloween. I think the Halloween episode is the 80s because it reminded me of the Halloween scene from E.T.
Oh, sure.
And I think that's what they're deriving it from. You know, first episode is supposed to be about like I Love Lucy, the Dick Van Dyke Show. Second episode is supposed to be about Bewitched. Third episode is supposed to be like the Brady Bunch. You know, if you visually look at the picture of the Brady Bunch, I saw online that they showed them next to each other. It almost has the exact same setup on the stage. The stairs, the colors, and everything.
They did a really good job.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job.
Aping these things. Again, I'm not... I don't feel like I grew up watching a lot of these old shows. Like, the Brady Bunch is most familiar to me from, like, the Brady Bunch movie.
Yeah.
From, like, late 90s, early 2000s.
I didn't in particular. Yeah. I watched... the closest one me and my siblings watched was The Monkees. That was... Yeah, we watched The Monkees, and that was 60s, 70s.
But that's...
70s.
I recently fell in love with watching the original Addams Family TV show. Because it's on Pluto TV.
Nice.
And it's so perfectly executed. Yeah. It's just solid. It's just disgustingly solid TV, even for something that's like as old as it is.
Yeah.
I'm still sitting here going like, wow, this like the writing, the acting, like this slaps. This is great.
Yeah.
And it's really cool, even though they're not aping like the Addams Family in WandaVision. These shows were as successful as they were for reasons. And so many of the tropes have been absorbed into cartoons or popular media. That's every time someone says the Dick Van Dyke Show, I flash back to Family Guy, where they're like, oh man, imagine if the Dick Van Dyke Show was on TV today, and they're like, hey, welcome to the Bleep Van Bleep Show, starring Bleep Van Bleep. And I'm just like, that's great. It's so stupid, but I love it.
Yeah, that is good.
That's how eponymous it is and how well known it is that even now, you know, because I mostly grew up in the 90s. Like, 40 years after that show was a thing, I still know of the thing. I might not be familiar with it. Like, I couldn't give you an episode title, but, like, I know enough to be like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, that's crazy to me.
It is.
What are you doing? You want to go on camera?
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Because, yeah, like I said, the 80s one reminds me of E.T., especially the Halloween part. And plus, other trailers I saw, I don't know if it's probably all in the same episode, but the 80s is also, you know, I think like we discussed before, Wanda and Agnes, they're both in like 80s workout suits with all the permed 80s hair, you know. But that looks like it has a visual style different than the Halloween parts. So that looks more sitcom-y.
It does.
And then the Halloween parts look more movie.
They look much more like realistic movie to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to describe
And that's
that.
I don't know if you saw the trailer.
Nope.
Okay, I'm not going to say
Nope.
anything.
Other than the first trailer that dropped.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything then, because the trailers kind of give some things away.
Okay.
You know, especially the Halloween part.
Tell me nothing.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay.